Yeah, obviously, winning games is definitely one of my goals for these next couple months. But also just leaving this place, knowing that we've like changed the program, and then coming back next year, the next couple of years, and seeing some of my old teammates, like obviously JT, Darian, the freshman, and some of the sophomores playing good, and going actually and making like a state run. I hope.
Hey everybody, this is Rodney Vellinga with the West Ottawa High School Athletic Program, and you're listening to the 29-1 podcast. 29 sports, one team. The show that brings you into the lives of student athletes, coaches, and other faces in the Panthers sports community, bringing you the stories you might otherwise never hear. Join myself and Athletic Director Bill Kennedy as we dive in with you to get to know each other a little bit better. Every high school athlete gets to the inevitable, your senior season, your last chance to play with your friends in front of that home crowd with dreams of making a run at a district title.
Today, we sit down with the Panther boys basketball program. Seniors Hudson Vellinga, Jake Gerrits, Ben Beetham, and Coach Jared Redell join us the morning after a victory over the Jenison Wildcats. We talk about being leaders on a young team and the season that lies ahead.
A promising 6-2 start has players, fans, and coaches alike optimistic on what the season could be as they now begin the ever-difficult OK Red schedule and the challenge of finding continuity with a young group mixed in with veteran leadership and playing together as a ball-sharing group of 5.
Hudson Vellinga, Jake Gerrits, Ben Beetham, and Jared Redell up next on the 29-1 podcast. Let's get it.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the 29-1 podcast. We are officially back from what I'm going to call our holiday hiatus. Holiday hiatus? I don't know what I said the first time. It's been a few weeks since we've been able to record. Bill, apparently December is really busy at a high school.
Very busy.
Yeah, so between practices and game schedules, snow days and such, our plans to record just kept getting squashed. So it's why we missed a few episodes, but we are glad to be back and are excited to have weekly episodes from now through the end of the school year. Today, we welcome 3 young men who have a long history together. They've known each other since they were little boys. They played lots of different sports together when they were little, AAU, basketball. We did some stuff over at Courthouse. The boys played some Little League baseball. And, you guys were the little guys who sat in the stands at football and basketball. We're almost through, the first third of our senior varsity boys basketball season here at West Ottawa High School. After back-to-back 6-win seasons over the past couple of years, there is a marked improvement so far into this young season as they sit at 6-2. And it's my pleasure to ask, who is it?
Jake Gerrits,
Hudson Vellinga,
Ben Beetham, and Coach Jared Redell.
Nice to have you here. Go ahead, Bill.
Awesome to have you all in. The fact that we're doing this and kind of jamming it into a crazy schedule. We're doing this before practice, the morning after a victory over Jenison last night over at Cornerstone. Did you guys enjoy playing at Cornerstone?
Yeah, I'd say so. I really like the court.
Okay.
It was good.
Yeah, I'd just say it's fun to play on those type of courts, and the environment was good.
You guys, Coach, you guys have won 3 out of your last 4. 83-63 victory over West Catholic. 57-49 in-town rivalry win against the Holland Dutch. Then you lost to Allendale 63-51 and then came back and had that big fourth quarter last night, 57-54 win over Jenison. What's that been like so far? You're on a bit of a run, a little bit of a, maybe not the weekend you wanted, exactly, but nice comeback win last night.
Yeah, I thought last night we won a game in a way that we haven't won one all year, and probably not in the 3 years that I've been here, where we struggled offensively. First half, I think we only had 19 points, turning the ball over, good aggressive turnovers, turned it over in ways that, usually we're really good in transition, and we weren't taking care of the ball. And usually when our offense is struggling, our defense really falls. And I thought being down 10 going into the fourth quarter when we're not scoring, for us to gut back the way we did and kind of chip away, and then eventually being able to score and win the game. I thought it was a win that we haven't seen, and hopefully hopefully one that will help propel us into the future in those situations, because you can't always, expect to score 70, 80 points to win a game.
Right, which is kind of the early part of the season. It was like we're running, we're gunning, and there was a lot of points scored early. Ben, you made 2 big free throws down the stretch last night. What's it like to be able to come through for your team in a situation like that?
So yeah, fourth quarter, I was able to cheer on my team from the bench, and then I got subbed in late to make a couple plays. I was able to get a rebound and knock down big free throws.
Hudson and Jake, you guys basically have played a lot. Hudson, you played varsity somewhat as a sophomore. What's it like to have 6 wins already? 2 years ago, you got your 6th win in late February. Last year, it was late February as well. Got your 6th win last night, and it's only December 30.
Yeah, it's a lot more enjoyable. You have a lot more fun with it. It's not always easy to be losing a bunch of games in a row. It's way more enjoyable when you're getting wins and everybody's fighting and coming together.
Jake, you're kind of a spark plug out there. What's it like for you to...
Yeah, it just feels great. I'm really proud of our team. We've been working hard, and I feel like I can tell that it's paying off. We're more locked in and getting more wins. It's great.
Yeah, I can tell that you guys have been working hard. I've, pop into practice here and there, cut through the gym just to see what's going on. Coach, can you talk to us a little bit about kind of the practice setup that you guys, especially early in the season, where you have the JV kind of running cross court on one, and then the varsity, a lot of energy in the gym, a lot of coaching going on. Maybe talk to us a little bit about what that practice looks like.
Yeah, especially early in the season. We also have a unique situation where we have 5 sophomores on our team, and 3 of them are playing some with the JV. So with that, we've been going cross court, and then the last half hour we've been kind of combining with the JV, and some of those swinger guys that we have will spend some time with us, and they'll spend some time with the JV, and I think it just really brings great energy into the gym. Just a lot of people, a lot of excitement, and I think it's been a really good setup so far.
Yeah, speaking of energy, these home games so far have been really, really fun. The crowds have been really good at West Ottawa. Hudson, what's it like for you seeing that black hole jump in? It's been a couple of years since we've seen it full, and it's getting there.
Yeah, it's definitely fun just to see the crowd into it. And I like just say the normal crowd as well. Like coaching Little Panthers, a lot of kids come from that too. And everybody's bought in and wants to watch us, so it's really cool.
Yeah, it's always great when the community comes out. All your families come out. Gerrit family, Beethams are all out there. As a parent, I get to talk with all these people after games, and we're having a lot of fun. It's nice to be able to win. You have a very up-tempo style, Ben, as a team. Do you guys like playing that fast pace?
I do like playing fast. It gets tiring, but we're able to sub. I think our bench does a great job. Yeah.
Coach, you're almost getting everybody in on every game, I've noticed.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a game that everybody hasn't played. We talk about that, we're 13 deep and we have 13 important players. And I thought last night was a great example of 2 guys. Jonah Watson came in, and he's only been playing 7-8 minutes a game as a sophomore, and he probably played 12 straight minutes down the stretch at the end. And then Abel Anaya, same thing. He came in and gave a huge spark for us during the third quarter. And I mean, that's what we are. We are 13 guys that, on different days, some guys have it going, some guys don't. And, it's up to the other guys to step up. And I think they've embraced that as a team. And I'm super proud of them. So.
Yeah, it's something to really have that many guys come out, and sometimes you make some adaptations in a game. That's certainly not kind of what you're planning on going in, but when you're down 10 going in the fourth, you got to adapt, find a group that's working, and kind of stick with it and go. Going back to that full gym, I remember when the 3 of you were those 12-year-old boys sitting in that front row. Do you remember those times, Jake?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like it wasn't that long ago either.
Right, it wasn't really, right? And we were playing courthouse ball and then coming out here and watching. Who were some of your guys' favorite players growing up? Do you remember some names?
Obviously, like Xavier Wade. I remember watching him. He was really good. He was fun to watch. And like the Pedersen boys. Yeah, they were good.
I just like that whole team. Tyler Bosma, they were all really fun to watch. They had a lot of lobs, a lot of like fun plays.
That was right. It was Dunk City a lot, almost every night, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. You have as a little person sitting over there, a little guy, you don't know if you're ever going to make a varsity team. What's it like being out on the floor now and being those guys, Ben? You're now the guy that those little 12-year-old boys are looking up to.
Yeah, it's different. Seeing the little kids in the stands, like the way they look up to you, like you used to look up to the kids back then, like giving them high fives and seeing the smiles on their faces, you can tell that you're just like their inspirations.
So one of the things that probably has helped solidify that bond with you and that younger group is Little Panthers. And you guys are coaching those teams and coaching those kids. Do you feel like you have a little group of dudes that is just like, they're your guys?
Yeah, I have my own little team. They all like, they were asking me to like play Fortnite with them. Like we got really close. We got really close. Some of them like come up behind me like on the bench during the game. They're like trying to give me high fives. I'm like not right now, not right now. But yeah,
It feels like you're with celebrities a little bit when you're that age, right? When you're playing with eyes.
Yeah, I say like when you were little, like you'd see those guys, you were like, you'd be shocked.
You're in awe.
Yeah.
Here they come. They're big. You're small, right?
Yeah,
They got all this talent and skill. Hudson, your team won. Did you guys win the championship
we won
this
the
year?
championship. Yeah.
You want to give some props to your boys?
I mean, I drafted the Warriors. I chose that team. I think it was a good selection. And I mean, we got Blake, and we didn't have him for 2 weeks. Blake Redell, his son, and championship we were up like 30 in the first half. So
He was gone for a couple weeks.
Yeah, so it made us look like we weren't entirely a great team.
Oh, gotcha.
We'd have 4 or 5 guys some games, and then he came back and
He dropped a big number in the last game, right?
yeah, Redell was telling him to stop shooting. We had to make it look a little more.
And what
fair.
were you telling him to do? Let it fly?
Let it fly.
That's
Let it
right.
fly.
Yeah, he gets hot, you let it fly.
Jake, real quick, Jake, what's it been like coaching? And maybe has it given you any perspective of what Coach Redell is going through on a day in, day out basis with you guys?
Yeah, definitely. It's been fun. I also was the champs for the 3rd and 4th graders. And,
Okay.
it was awesome. They were really excited to see me every week. And it showed they were actually having fun out there, which is good. Which is hard to see for some of these little kids, to get them into a sport at a young age is really good. So yeah, it was fun. And the coaching part, it can be difficult because you got people complaining not playing. You got
No, never.
Jared, have you heard of that before?
Never.
Is that something that actually goes?
I always get the coach, put me in, please.
Or you get that look down the bench to that sad face,
Yeah, exactly.
What about me? Hudson, you had a really interesting thing with the Cheetos. Can you tell us about that? The Cheetos in the pocket?
Yeah, there was some little kid that had Cheetos in his pocket, like right before the game. Hot Cheetos, they were all falling out all over the court.
Little plastic bag in the side pocket, right?
Yeah, he had like a Ziploc bag. They're all falling out in his pocket.
I mean, that's great to bring that out into the court and have that readily
have a little
available.
snack.
Very jealous. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah, it was
awesome.
crazy.
It's pretty awesome that he was doing that.
Can I actually add something to
Yeah,
the
go for it.
Panthers?
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
I don't know. So I think last year, this is our second year where the kids were actually coaching the team. In the past, it's always been parents that have been coaching, and I think I've seen a huge change community wise by the players always just ref before, and so now with them coaching, they're really developing relationships with kids. And I have a little neighbor boy who's in 2nd grade. And he goes to every game now, and he wants to go see his coach, and he goes and talks to his coach every time. And I think that is the community side that we're building, and I think you're starting to see it in the stands because they're all bought in, and that's what we want to do. Is we want to bring the entire community into the program, so it feels like theirs as well. Because eventually, those are the kids that are going to be out there one day.
For you guys, that's pretty fun too. When you were younger, did you feel you got that a little bit when they were reffing, or it's probably nicer when they're coaching, I would think.
Yeah, I still got a little bit of the roughing, but not to the same level that they have now, like being their coach.
Are you guys running offenses? What are they? They just freewheeling out there? What's it like, Ben? What do you guys do as a coach? What are some things you're implementing? What's your system?
I don't be trying to call like sets and stuff, but I just usually have them like do ball screens, just try and cut. That's really it.
Keep them moving around the court. Yeah, not standing still. Right,
Yeah.
all those kind of.
Yeah, I got a few ball screens in there too, but nothing too crazy.
All right. Yeah, I saw some scattered papers around the house at times with some drawings.
I can't believe Hudson doesn't have like plays for threes because
It Spurs in there or something.
there you go.
Yeah, you definitely got to have it. You have some starters on your team that are fairly young. Let's talk about 3 particular young players if we can, and maybe we can take turns talking about them. We got JT Gill, of course. We got Darian Stewart, and we got Makai Campos. Hudson, pick one of those guys to talk about what's it like having this young infuse of talent on your team.
I'll go with Darian.
Yeah, you got.
He's a big goofball.
Yeah.
Big goofball. Probably one of the funniest dudes I know. But really loyal. When you get in game, like he really wants to win. Super competitive in game and just really loyal. He's got your back no matter what.
How
Really
old
fun
is
to play
Darian?
with.
How old is he?
14.
Darian is everybody thinks he's like an old freshman. Darian doesn't turn 15, I think, till May. He is a
Goodness.
super young freshman. And so sometimes you see that with Darian with his, goofballness. But like Hudson said, like you have your back. When we had a team retreat and, the one thing that he wanted his team to know is that, in any situation, I'll have your back. And that's Darian, even though he is that goofball, when it comes down to it, he's a loyal kid and a great teammate. So.
Yeah, and he's got so much potential. He's even in this first third of the season, Bill. He's really grown a lot, don't you think?
I mean, he just jumps off the court, as I mentioned earlier, sitting with Johnston from Jenison yesterday. He's like, man, who's 32? Like, he's only a freshman. You're going to see him for a bit. I look at Darian and I see him and I think of what he will look like as a junior and senior. He's in Panther strength class right now as he continues to work in the weight room.
You lift with him, right, Hudson?
Yeah, he's in my peak group. I drafted him.
Yeah. If that kid gets after it in the weight room, he'll be unstoppable.
Yeah, he will be unstoppable. We got Ben in there too. We got like most of the basketball guys in that class are all in one group, so it's pretty cool.
Also, you're building some relationships in those classes too, then, right?
Yeah,
Because let's talk. We'll talk about that in a little bit more about building relationships with the age gap. Let's maybe Ben. You want to talk about JT Gill a little bit? What's it like to have JT on the team?
Yeah, so he's also really young. Him and Darian are like, they love to mess around in practice, but
The immaturity of these freshmen. Hey, guys.
once they get too close together, they're always like slapping each other, like making jokes, laughing. But once again, the game, JT's like, he really does his thing. He gets his own buckets. He moves the ball really well for how young he is. He's a great playmaker. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, there's a sign of maturity in JT.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of if you talk about, you talk about people and go, oh, that person's got an old soul. He's got an old basketball soul. What do you think, Coach?
Yeah. I've obviously, since I've come here, known JT since his 7th grade. And last night was a great example. Like, it was not one of his best games, but I remember pulling him out at the end of the 3rd quarter and talking to him and saying, like, hey, you're in at the end of the game and you get a shot at the end. Like, I know you're going to make it, because that's him. Like, we came, and I'll let the guys kind of talk about theirs a little bit, but we went through roles and they all got names, and JT's was the assassin.
Oh, really? We're hitting this up next.
Because JT, in any situation like that, he could be 0 for 10, and he has full confidence that he's going to make that shot when it matters. And I have confidence. And I've seen him do it 5-6 times in AAU games where, came down to the end and just hit tough, big buckets and made big plays. And I know, he has that in. So I would love for them to share their, they can talk a little bit about their little nicknames and their roles. I think it's, we put Coach Palmer and I, and especially him on the roles, put a ton of time in. We probably spent 10 hours going through the roles and just really trying to lay it out, because we thought it was something when you're playing 13 guys for them to have very specific roles on the things that we need them to do. So.
Do you know all three? Don't say anything. You know all their nicknames, right? Or do you think you know them?
We just did this.
You just did it?
We just did this. So,
all right. And if you don't know,
I know Hudson's for sure. I know Palmer was here. He would have all three of them.
All right.
He was the one that came up with the names, have binders, had pictures with them. It was really cool. And I think they thought, it was, I don't know if they thought it was corny. They were kind of giggling a little bit, but I hear them talk about him a little bit, like during practice, like, oh, like Jake, say something to guys.
Jake, what's Hudson's nickname? He couldn't even say it.
The sniper. Yeah.
He's a sniper? All right. Takes you back to your Fortnite a little bit, Hudson?
I don't play Fortnite too much, but
so talk to them about what, not just obviously Hudson's a sniper as a shooter, but talk a little bit about what the sniper is to us.
Yeah, when we talked about it, Palmer was talking about how, shooter, but like big on leadership, and like when snipers in general, they like lead, they communicate very well, and they tell like where the enemy is and all that stuff. So like really big on communication.
Oh, that's pretty
leadership.
Cool, actually.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Do you know what Jake
is the leopard.
The leopard.
It's so
Talk to us about the leopard,
Come on,
Jake.
leopard.
Yeah, I'm the leopard. Yeah, so like just my main role is obviously I come off the bench. I'm the sixth man. So I just come into the game and I
Run wild.
yeah, pretty much. And just bring the energy up, you know, and compete. That's what I really like to do is just compete. That's what that's what like really makes me enjoy basketball is because of how competitive it is compared to other sports, you know. So yeah, just competing and having that mindset where like all I want to do is win, you know.
The role that you're playing on this team, this is going to take you back maybe a little bit, reminds me a lot of Blake Bosma as a sophomore. He would come off the bench, but it was energy, dive for loose balls, grab the rebound, make the extra pass, do all of the stuff that the stat sheet's probably not going to show. But if you're there and you appreciate watching basketball, the leopard is going to get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
What is Hudson? What is Ben's nickname?
I'll say, well, it's incomplete. It's Ben the Bear. Complete, like it's Ben the Bear. He's not the bear. It's Ben the Bear.
Ben the Bear.
Ben the Bear.
Ben the Bear.
Yeah, so he has me nicknamed as the Bear, pretty much just like once I'm locked, like once like a bear is like
You're
locked
vicious.
in. Yeah, you like nobody can like beat it. Like you kind of want to fall down.
So a bear, a lot of times is very docile, like, you know, and that's kind of Ben's personality. But when you piss a bear off, you better watch out. And so that was why Ben is the bear. And with the leopard with Jake, we played this video of, you talked about a leopard, like he's going to go after his prey no matter what. That he doesn't care about, you know, his physical, you know, potentially getting hurt. There was a video of this leopard chasing a goat that we played, and he jumps off a cliff and he gets the goat in his mouth, and he literally rolls down the mountain and never lets go of
I've
the
seen
goat.
that.
And so that was the reason, because when you watch Jake play, Jake will go flying in for every rebound. He doesn't care if he's going to get hurt. He puts his body on the line. So when I talked about like the amount of time that we put into the roles, like a big part of that was that, like, oh yeah, he's a leopard. It's kind of funny, but there was a specific reason because of what a leopard does, because of what a bear is in terms of, you know, personality, but then gets, you know, fearless in competition. And then as an assassin with, you know, Hudson obviously shooting, but
That's JT.
oh, sorry, I mean the sniper. As the sniper with Hudson, yeah, obviously his shooting, but you know, he is our leader when it comes to communication on the court. And a sniper's job is to protect his team by communicating and letting people know where it's at. So, you know, the roles are funny and they laugh about him, but there was, you know, the reason for the name, very specific because of, you know, who they are and their personalities.
I really like it as a coaching technique. It's a nice reminder of who you are, what you're supposed to be. Let's talk about Makai Campos because we haven't mentioned him yet. Jake, you played, of course, varsity football with Makai. Quite an incredible athlete, to be honest, to be a sophomore and really be like the starting quarterback,
starting guard,
and starting. You want to talk about Makai a little bit, Jake?
Yeah, of course. For last year, he obviously played varsity, and you could already see like his maturity last year and his leadership. But I feel like this year it's just definitely like doubled, and I feel like I can really see him as a leader now, like fully. And yeah, he's fun to play with. Everyone always talks about his scoring. You know, he's a great scorer, I think. But I think his defense is also what gets the game, like, it helps us a lot.
Bill and I always talk sports a lot. And one thing we always talked about Makai, especially when he played football as playing on the JV team, he sees the game almost played in slow motion at times, right? Would you think so, Bill?
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell. I mean, this is a kid that played 23, 25 games-ish last year as a varsity basketball player. Started a full season in a couple of games early in the season where he was kind of coming off the bench, but then played a full season of football at the quarterback position where you have so much responsibility.
Right.
So I can only imagine that things get a little slower just with that experience. Everything tends to kind of slow down. And I would say that about JT as well. You look out there and you see the two guards are a freshman and a sophomore. And if you didn't know they were a freshman and sophomore, by the way they play, they don't seem that way. Coach, can you maybe talk about the level of composure that those two young men have?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is they've played a lot of basketball. I mean, since 8 years old, those kids are playing year round. And so, yes, they're young in terms of age, but in terms of experience basketball wise, I mean, they've played a lot of it. And so that definitely, it doesn't feel like the moment's too big for them. And that's one of the most important things with them.
Hudson, it's a real mix of young and old this year at times. Do you guys are in your senior season. Personally, you're just trying to have a good season yourself, right? You're trying to get minutes, you're trying to play, you're trying to score, you're trying to get rebounds, assists, you're trying to get on the floor. Have you felt like a mentors at times a little bit to these young fellas?
Do they call you Gramps?
Yeah, you definitely help them with some things if they're they'll ask you some questions about different situations, or you might explain to them what to do in a certain situation. Obviously, this is their other than for JT and Darian, it's their first time playing varsity basketball. So,
oh yeah, and it's with a lot of these guys, everyone's played a lot. You guys have all played AAU, right? Everyone plays in these different roles in these different teams. A lot of times in AAU, you become the main scorer. Well, not the main scorer, maybe, but you do a lot of scoring AAU. It's kind of free flowing. It's a little bit loose. Then you got to come into a team situation and start playing as what I like to call a group of five. I think it's the hardest thing in basketball is playing as a group of five. Coach, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think you go back to the AAU, there's a lot of scoring. There's no scouting. There's no defense. There's not a lot of defense. There's not a lot of game plan with it. In high school, it's very specific. And so you're not going to just get easy baskets. And so it is super important that you are a well-connected team. And we've talked about the, was it 2018 team with Bosma and all them. And we talked the other day as a team, what made them special was how they shared the ball. They were connected, and they were a group of kids that have been playing together forever. I remember specifically watching them play in an AAU tournament against the LeBron James AAU team out of Ohio with 8 or 9 Division I players and beat them because not that they were better players, but just they played so well as a team. And we definitely play a different style as them. We're very fast paced. But I think you can see at times with our team, sometimes it looks like it, sometimes it doesn't, but at times we can really, really share the basketball and really move the basketball. And when we play like that, I know we're young, and I know we have 7 young guys and only 3 seniors, but they've mixed so well together. I've never had a team of this many young kids, and for the feel to be the way it is. I mean, our 3 seniors here have a lot of times you can have some feelings of with so many young guys, I don't want to, this is our senior year.
These are my minutes.
These guys have been unbelievable. And, Bill said, they're talking about our youth. Yes, our youth is good. And yes, our youth helps us, but we don't get anywhere without these 3 guys in here and their leadership. You talked about mentorship and all those things, they've been through it. They're the reason why, we're going to have a chance to do something this year. It's because of these 3 guys in here. So
yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs with a team with this, right? You can see kind of in some of the games you've played, the Holland Christian game that was here at home, which we ended up losing. But from a fan's point of view, it was one of the most spectacular basketball games I've ever seen on our home court. It was such high level. The rhythm of your team was really high end, Coach, right? And you've had a few games like that. Then you get into this past weekend where the rhythm's off, right? Whether it's this Christmas break or whatever the case may be. Ben, what's it like to be in rhythm? And then what's it like to be out of rhythm as a team?
Yeah, in rhythm, definitely just playing, not even thinking. Everyone's just moving, the ball's moving, open shots. But when it's not in rhythm, you can just tell the ball's stopping. I feel myself personally on offense just standing, just trying to move the balls. Yeah, everyone's dribbling too much, looking for their own shots.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to figure out. Hudson, when you're out there, when you're in a non-rhythm game, I mean, in rhythm, it's you're like for a shooter for you, in a rhythm game, you're sliding from spot to spot, right? You're finding a little space. In a non-rhythm game, you can stand there and it's you just watch. What's it like to be in and out?
Like Ben said, I find in those games, these past couple games where we haven't been in a great rhythm, I find myself just standing. And I'm I've been probably here for 5 seconds. I got to do something. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely.
And that's part of being kind of on a younger team, right? You're learning that and you're going to have those natural up and downs.
Yeah. And last night, things were not always in rhythm offensively. But Coach, you alluded to it earlier. Our guys on the opposite end of the court, that's the beautiful thing of basketball, right? You get to play both offense and defense. You guys affected and changed the game really by sitting in a stance and getting after them on the defensive end. 21-8 run to close the game.
Yeah, fourth quarter.
Was that what I know we were down
21-8.
I know we were down. Yeah.
You were down 10
going into the fourth. And scored, I think, was it 22 in the fourth after only scoring 33 for the game or something like, or for the first three quarters.
Thanks.
So
We'll take it, right?
That definitely was a off rhythm first three quarters, and finally got it going at the end, which was great to see. So
yeah, finding rhythm is all that. Let's talk about you guys individually, because this is your senior year, and we were talking in the car the other day. You have 6 home games left, unless we get some district stuff. Like, it goes by in a hurry. We're through the first third of the season already. I think you have 15, 16, 17 games to go. It's hard to believe, isn't it, to be at this spot, Jake, in your senior life as a basketball player?
Yeah, it's kind of sad already.
It goes by in a hurry.
Yeah. Like during that, I can just like the feelings that I had at the end of the football season. I can feel that it's coming already. So
there's no guarantee you guys are ever going to be here. You guys were the little kids hoping to play varsity basketball one day. You have your ups and downs. Hudson, let's talk about you a little bit. You put in so much work. For the younger basketball player that's listening, the volume of work that some of you guys put in on basketball is quite something. Can you go through a little bit some of your summer shooting routines and some of the stuff that you do that nobody sees?
Yeah, I mean, the past couple of years, but a lot of this summer it was I'd lift in the morning with Frank, and then I'd either shoot by myself after that, before that, and then have Jordan 2 or 3 times a week. Get on the gun maybe at night, and then go work out with Leo at DeVos. So,
and that's your AAU coach.
Yeah.
So you do stuff with him. Getting to this spot too, though, you sometimes have things that don't go your way. When you were a young player, Hudson, you got cut from a team.
Yeah, 7th grade. Ben and I went try out for just like
Shore.
Yeah, AAU team.
Lakeshore. Yeah,
Lakeshore in 7th grade, and I got cut. That was
and Ben made the team.
And Ben made the team.
You guys were still friends. Impressive.
I didn't get no minutes though.
No,
yeah, that definitely started, like, made me feel.
Yeah, you and your pillow got to know each other quite well. Your face was buried in it for a day or two.
Yeah, I was pretty upset. Yeah, I mean, at first you're angry, and you sit in your room, and then you're like, all right, well, gotta do something about it. So yeah, just from there, that started, I think, where like I learned that motivated me a lot, and started my grind to get better.
For the younger athletes that are out there, it's a lot of work to play at this level. Ben, you've done a lot of the same stuff. You've played, how many years have you played AAU? Too many to count.
4, maybe 5, something
right,
like that.
And you played a lot of. You've done stuff with Myrick. You played. Tell me, playing at Winstrom Park over the years. What's that? That's a kind of go-to place for you guys, right?
That was a big, Before I was able to get into a gym every summer, like freshman year, especially going into my freshman year and sophomore year, I go to Winstrom every day. Sometimes I go with Hudson in the morning. We'd bike over there.
Yeah, the courts would still be like.
The courts would be a little
wet with a little grass,
wet, mushy, and we find like a traffic cone. We put the cone on the court. We just do some drills with it. That was huge. Went there so much.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was huge before anybody could drive or could get into a gym. Yeah. Winstrom was a spot to go to.
Right, you're biking around with your basketball on your arm.
Yeah, we'd text like group chats and stuff. We'd have runs. We'd have like the freshman team. When I was a freshman, we'd have like everyone on our freshman team, and then like the JV team ahead of us. We'd all come and we'd play 5v5 against each other. It was just big, yeah.
That's awesome. Jake, your summer prep for basketball season looks a little bit different than these guys because you also play football in the fall. So where does your basketball time, I guess, kind of fit into that busy summer?
Obviously, I got football like every day, or usually every day, and it's definitely difficult work for football. So it makes it a lot harder to get my work in for basketball. But I just try and find time to get into the gym, and then just like these two, I used to go play at Winstrom quite a lot.
Yeah.
So,
You guys have gotten pretty big over the years too. Like Jake, you're a force of nature now. I mean, you were always kind of this guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I should have hit the gym more this year though. I could.
Oh, you haven't hit the gym? I'm looking at you. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have been able to tell.
I think it might be fat. Not gonna.
Well, speaking of fat, like I talked to your parents about you, and you do now with all of what Jake does. He's doing all this basketball and football stuff. You still keep a job during the year, right?
Yeah, I do. I try and work at least one day a week. Yeah, at Pepino's. Yeah.
And you're not just anybody at Pepino's. I heard that you have quite the skill for flipping that dough in the air.
Yeah, I'm a good pizza maker, I'd say. Yeah, I make some good pizza.
I think we need a Pepino's sponsorship here for the basketball team.
Well, they're getting some love on the 29-1.
I mean, if Jake's a weekly worker there, I think it's time to get some Pepino's sponsorship, some free pizza here.
I could try and make something work.
You usually work Sunday nights, right?
Yeah, usually.
If I get a Pepino's pizza on a Thursday, and we, Hudson, we both like that Supreme from Pepino's. And if you had their Supreme pizza, it's high end for sure. Would we be able to tell that you did the dough on a Sunday night versus a Thursday night pizza?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got the skills?
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, we're letting the Thursday night crew know that they got to pick it up because you're way better at it. Jake, with your role, this is really interesting, but this goes way back. When we did Courthouse back in the day, you kind of at times struggled until we talked a little bit and you took on this cool role that you have just embraced. Can you talk about how important it is for a team to have a player? And now this is not about you per se, but a player doing the things you do on a court. And Hudson, maybe talk about how important his role is and what he's doing.
Yeah, I'd say it's really important. Like he just comes in and brings energy, brings a spark, like moves the ball really well. Defense is a dog, like picks up, like he's a dog. And like offensively too, like it's not like he can't score.
Correct.
Like he can score. He's got like he has a really good finishing package, and like he just does the small things that a lot of guys don't want to do. He does those things really well.
Coach, what's it like to have Jake out there with stuff he's doing?
Yeah, Jake talked about like how he's the sixth man. We said we have 6 starters.
That's what I was thinking.
You know, we have 6 starters on our team, and you just can only start 5 of them. You know, and as you saw last night, like Jake was in almost the whole fourth quarter at the end of the game, and that's what he does. And Jake is we talk all the time that he's a connector. He's a connector of guys. He's the person that's out there that, you know, he's always looking for everybody else. And yeah, he can score. I remember going back to I think it was East Kentwood your JV year that I remember, and I think
20 ball.
He had like
he did.
He had like 20 something.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they couldn't. Oh, I hope you remember it.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop him. And Jake gets to the rim really, really well. And you know, and you see that in the varsity game, son. He just doesn't. He's not doing it every single possession because he's a connector and he understands, you know, who needs what shots. What do we need to do? And that's a huge part of our team. And we wouldn't be where we're at without having those people.
Yeah, it's nice when a player knows what their shot is, right? And sees when that opportunity cracks open. And I feel that's kind of what Jake does. Jake will see that little window. You'll see that window open up and you'll all of a sudden the ball's in the basket.
Yeah, definitely.
With your team, you guys are the seniors. There's a continuity when you all kind of know each other. But at times with these younger, you got to put yourself second at times too, right? Like you got to go out and make your impact on the game. And then sometimes you're like, oh, someone's on a roll here. I'm just going to kind of let them go. What's it like to kind of like, sometimes you got to maybe step back for the team to succeed. It's not always easy as a senior to do that, Ben. What's it like for you? Because there's a lot of, like your position, you have multiple talented players in that spot. And sometimes the night, it's not you, right?
Yeah.
That's a little tough.
Yeah, so all our guards score really well. So when I'm in, I can see that they're flowing. I really just take pride, especially on the defensive end. Just make sure my guy doesn't get in front of me, just staying in front and then getting steals, hopefully, and then just looking for whoever's hot at the moment, even if it's not me.
Hudson, you had that a little bit over the weekend. Like this past game wasn't your best game, but your team wins, and you got to be happy about that.
I'd say when your main priority is winning, when everyone's bought into winning, those problems don't arise. Guys know that some nights it'll be their night, some nights it won't. And if the main thing is winning, then everything will keep flowing.
Yeah, even after last night game, we got in the car and we're like, hey, we won that game. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's not always an easy thing to do to get the kids to buy in, especially when you have, it's not just the 5 guys, you know, that are starting, but buying into, hey, listen, we got 8, 9, 10 guys that on a given night, one of those guys or two of those guys might be the ones that are in at the end. I've never had to coach that way before, and it's definitely an adjustment. And I think it long term, we're going to be a way better team because of that.
Yeah, there's so many different guys that can shoulder the load on any given night. It was Zeeland East, Ben. Kind of had a huge night against Zeeland East here. 22, maybe. Holland, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking back to beginning of break.
Yeah, Holland. That's a great example.
I was like senior night.
So yeah, Holland.
Right?
Yes, Holland was like senior night. Like Ben was like 9 or 12 from the floor, and Hudson hit 4 threes all in the second half when it was a little bit of a tight game, and it was like that was their night scoring wise where they stepped up.
Good example.
And we had other guys that didn't. Last night, Ben ended up with 10. I didn't even realize that he was perfect from the floor. He was 3 of 3 or 4 of 4 or something like that.
A little Jared Goff, huh?
Yeah, but he wasn't one of the main guys that game. And
Right.
and I think the best thing for these 3 guys is when it's not their night, they've been great teammates, and we couldn't do that without them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to do that when the clock's ticking, right? That season clock starts to boom, 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 boom. You guys have some really cool stuff on Instagram, so I'm going to pull that up for a minute. Who's doing that Instagram for you guys, by the way?
So that is Brian Dykema, Karen Dykema, our athletic and administrative assistant. That's what he went to school for, and he hasn't really done a ton of it recently. And I talked to him before the season about bringing him around more, and he has some great videos. The kids love it.
It's so fun to watch those after a game. A little slow-mo, blurry background.
Yeah, I'm actually going to meet with him next week because I want to start bringing him on to do more stuff for the athletic department, but I want to make sure that, we're taking care of him on the back end as well because he is super talented. He's got youth that I don't, right? Like I do all of the social media for the high school, but I'm limited because I'm a 47-year-old guy, right? He just has a little bit more juice and creativity when it comes to the video stuff.
Yeah, we've learned a lot in doing some of this
Absolutely.
stuff at the high school. Like having us in charge of music, not the best move. So that's why these WoBN students have come in and really started making things pop way more than we could. I mean, how many times can we listen to Fish?
You guys don't want
No
Fish
one
and Grateful Dead going on in warm-ups.
The looks on the faces are like, what?
Ben's like, what's Fish?
Billy Strings.
That's right, Billy Strings, man.
Yeah, Bill has his favorite stuff, so we have done a good job of moving toward younger people doing it. They do these features on you guys, and there's some cool things that you said. One thing that Jake you said was we talk about like after a tough loss, and there's different things that you say. Jake, you said, remember how grateful I am to even be playing. For Ben, after a tough loss, you like to watch film and learn from it. And then Hudson, we have a thing in our house too, because when you were little, a loss was devastating and would go on for too long. And we do something called the 24-hour rule. Can you guys maybe speak to how you kind of deal when things don't go your way and how you don't stay in that spot forever, right? You move out of it. Can you talk about that a little bit? Maybe Jake, go first.
Yeah, obviously it's hard after losing, especially against HC. I remember that. I was pretty upset about that. But then you just wake up the next day and realize you got more basketball to play. So, and just life moves on. So,
what about you, Hudson? Talk to the 24-hour rule.
Yeah, kind of going off that, obviously a tough loss, Holland Christian was a really tough loss, didn't sleep very well, but then you wake up and it's like, all right, well, we got a game next week. So you're either going to keep pouting and being down about the game from last Friday, or you're going to move on, show up to practice, and get ready for the next week. You can't stay back and stay in that same place.
Yeah, basically what Hudson said, after the loss, especially Holland Christian, but yeah, I was down for a while. I didn't want to hang out with anybody. I don't want to talk to anyone. It was a Friday night too, so people asked me to hang out, and I just stayed in my room all night because I fouled out that game too. So I was pretty upset. But I woke up the next morning. It's I gotta learn from it. Learning from a game like that, it's just gonna help us get better.
And I would say, let's go to some of this older group now. I'll tell you this: when I was younger, if I lost a game, it wasn't 24 hours; it was 24 days. I mean, you know this, Jared, right? You're probably a little bit the same where those losses linger.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they still linger with me. I'm trying to get better with
Good job, Coach.
A similar
Good job, Coach.
A similar mindset. I think obviously the boys, after Saturday's game at night, I was a little upset, and I came into Sunday practice, definitely calmed down, evaluated myself, talked to the kids about, my frustrations with the team, but also my frustrations with myself and us as coaches and things we could have done better. And I think learning after you don't play well is not just the kids learning what they need to do better, but it's us as coaches going and self-evaluating and saying, what did we not do that we could have done better? And I thought we did a good job of doing that after the game on Saturday. And I think you saw some of those changes a little bit on Monday. So just constantly learning. And that's going to be a theme of the season with the, mix of old and youth that we have on the team, is that we continue to get better and we learn. So we're playing our best basketball when the tournament comes in March.
Hudson, what's that mean to you to hear Coach say, I'm not just evaluating the team, but I'm evaluating us as coaches?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. A lot of coaches are see themselves as above all, and they can never be wrong. But I mean, we got two coaches that they're not afraid to be like, yeah, you know what, we messed up. It's not just on you guys, and it's a really cool thing, I feel like.
I was impressed the other day. Hudson came home from practice, Coach, and he told me you brought an old retired coach in from Wayland. And maybe talk about this for a minute, because I thought this, when he told me this, I'm like, oh, okay, I was impressed with that. That Wayland coach comes in and is going to teach you his own. And what did you specifically do? You kind of stepped away and went to the side. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I am a primarily 90% man-to-man defense guy. And on teams, I like to have some sort of change up. But I was trying to figure out what fit this team and this personality really well. And I remember playing against Wayland back when I was coaching at East Grand Rapids, when Mike Hudson was the coach there, and he had his boys, Wes Hudson and Avery Hudson, the really good teams that they had. And they played this really funky zone that had a lot of pressure, which fits our team, with a lot of speed and a lot of pressure. And it's different. It's harder to game plan against. So I called them up and just said, hey, would you be willing to come in and teach the zone to us? Because I know what I don't know. And that's, I could spend lots of hours and research it, but you're a resource of someone that knows what they're doing really well with this. And so to be able to come in one day and to be able to have it taught to our guys, and I just kind of stepped back to the sideline and said, like, Mike, this is your practice, run it. And I'll step in and asked him questions and confirm things with him. And I thought it was a huge help for us to be able to implement something in one day that would have taken a lot longer for us to try to figure out to do it on our own.
Would a young Jared Redell coach brought somebody in?
Maybe not. I mean, I used to bring, I coached with Steve Marley at Rockford for a few years, and he used to come, and when I was at North Point, he used to come and do some stuff. So I think that was a mid-age coach, Jared. But he was also my mentor, so that was a lot. That was a lot easier. I patterned a lot of my stuff from him. So this is the first time I brought someone from the outside that I've known Mike in the coaching world for a long time. I wouldn't say we don't hang out. I don't know him that well, but I know he's a really good coach, and I know he did something specific that I struggled against when I played it.
There you go.
I was looking at it and saying, like, well, what would be a better way to do it than to bring the guy in that's taught it, multiple times? And he was happy to do so. He's no longer coaching at Wayland. His son, Wes, is the girls coach at Wayland, and he helps him out a little bit. And I thought there was something interesting that he said at the end of practice, and he saw what our guys could be. We really shared the ball that day, like the way I know we can. And he turned to Coach Palmer and I and said, This has a chance to be a special group. And he said, thank you for letting me come in to be here at practice, because it was fun to be around these kind of athletes and who they are, because they can be a special group. And I've loved coming to practice every single day and just love being around these guys. So,
well, that kind of gets us moving in the direction of the inevitable. The OK Red schedule is upon us, fellas. Friday, it starts right here Hudsonville coming to town. Hudson, maybe talk to us a little bit about playing in the red.
I mean, yeah, it's a really competitive conference. There's no nights off. There's no team. You're like, oh, none of that. Every game is going to be a tough game, and then it's going to be a battle. So, but it's fun. Like, that's what you want to be in. So
100%.
I couldn't get any better.
Sometimes too, we'll talk about this. You were playing your Allendale team, and we think it's gonna be a little easy. Wasn't. Lost. You get in these OK Red games, you are never going into a game going, "Oh, this is gonna be easy tonight."
I didn't think it was going to be easy.
I know you didn't, but we all know how players feel.
Yeah. So that'd be the trap. The players.
Yeah, it's a trap. Trap game.
Maybe some parents.
Trap game.
Community. Like, it's easy to say, like, oh, they don't have this star player that's on their team, but they got two really good high school players that are tough as heck. And I think that some of that is the maturity of our team and maybe the immaturity of our team to, you go into a game and think maybe this isn't as good of a team. And,
it happens.
I don't know.
It happens to every team, every sport, every season. You can see it coming, and you still can't stop it.
Mm-hmm. When we first were in setting up earlier, Rodney and I were talking about the weekend and the games, and the thing that I have noticed in high school athletics as a whole, across all sports, is that the margins have become really thin in literally every sport. If our tennis team doesn't show up and they think they're going to mail it in, they're going to get beat. The margins are so small, and it doesn't matter how big or how small a school is. And those margins get even tighter as we enter our conference season. Jake, can you talk about what you look forward to maybe as we get into the red season?
I would just say the competitiveness that the OK Red brings. It's always fun. It's battling. It's usually a back and forth game, and it's really physical, which I really enjoy as a football player. So.
Yeah, you're a good physical player. Good physical player. What are you guys, as we finish up here, we got about 2 months left in your high school basketball careers, guys. It's crazy. What are your aspirations for the next couple months? What do you hope to achieve as a team this year? Ben?
Definitely win a district, winning record. I just want to let everyone know how special this team was, and just keep winning, get the community bought in.
Hudson?
Yeah, I would say just keep getting wins, keep building as a team, and building up for win districts and build up for a run in March.
Yeah, obviously, winning games is definitely one of my goals for these next couple months. But also just leaving this place, knowing that we've changed the program, and then coming back next year, the next couple of years, and seeing some of my old teammates, obviously JT, Darian, the freshman, and some of the sophomores playing good, and going actually and making a state run. I hope
it's going to be wild. You're going to be a junior in college, and you're going to come back, and Darian and JT are still going to be out playing basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
Hudson will have that full beard now, just because he can grow it. Miles let it grow. I can. Yeah. Well, we hope you guys have a good season. We hope you can find that togetherness and find that on a regular basis, and really have a good year finishing up. We play this Friday. It is the last day of the year, by the way. We're recording here on New Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. If you're listening to this, you're going back to last year to listen. But this Friday, we have Hudsonville at home at 7. Next week, I believe we have Granville. Is it Granville on Tuesday? I believe.
Granville on Friday.
Just Granville on Friday.
Just Granville Friday.
We don't have a Tuesday game next week.
Okay, so we got Hudsonville at home, and then by the time this airs, we'll be playing at Granville. If you are listening, come on, make the trip. Granville's not that far away. Just head on over. Let's get a crowd in there and see what we can do. We are West Ottawa. We are community. We are each other, and we love having you guys in. Thanks for coming in. It's been a blast.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Thank you for having us.
All right. We'll see you later.
See you.
If you have enjoyed listening to the 29-1 podcast, be sure to like and subscribe. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.